Welcome to Tactic Techniques, Azure DevOps interview questions and answers. Azure DevOps is a set of development tools, services, and features provided by Microsoft that allow software teams to plan, develop, test, and deliver software more efficiently and effectively. It includes a suite of services including Azure Boards, Azure Repos, Azure Pipelines, Azure Test Plans, and Azure Artifacts. Azure DevOps helps teams to adopt modern development practices such as continuous integration, continuous deployment, and continuous feedback. What is Azure Repos? Azure Repos is a version control service provided as part of the Azure DevOps suite. It provides Git repositories or centralized version control for your source code, and it supports both cloud-based and on-premises hosting of Git repositories. With Azure Repos, you can securely manage your code, track work, and ship software. It offers features such as pull requests, code reviews, branch policies, and a web-based interface for code management, making it a comprehensive version control solution for your development team. Explain the various DevOps phases. The 7 stages that Azure DevOps must follow are listed below. Plan. Any application that requires development needs a project plan, and establishing a plan for the development process is advisable before commencing. Code. The application is tailored to the needs of its users, using fresh code written from scratch or open-source repositories. Build. The build phase of the program is designed based on various code packages generated in prior stages. This is when the code is prepared for deployment. Test. Testing, also termed quality assurance or QA, is an integral part of the DevOps process since it helps test and reconstruct the application. Integrate. This phase gathers several programmers' code and consolidates different versions, features, and components. Deploy. The application code is pushed into the production environment for deployment. It will consequently become available to end users. Operate. When necessary, operations are carried out on code to ensure quality. One may also reconfigure infrastructure operations to improve the application's performance. Monitor. The application's performance is evaluated to meet the needs of the customers. What are the key advantages of using Azure Pipelines and C/CD? Some of the key advantages of using C/CD on Azure Pipelines include: any language or platform is supported. It allows you to work with open source projects. Building on PCs running Windows, Mac OS X, and Linux is possible. It supports simultaneous deployment to different kinds of targets. GitHub and Azure deployments are both supported. Define Azure Boards. It is a DevOps service which is used to manage the projects of software. It offers various sets of abilities like dashboards, reporting, Scrum, and Kanban. Its essential feature contains queries, backlogs, sprints, dashboards, and work items. Explain the test plans of Azure. They are Azure DevOps services which offer solutions for test management. It offers the essential abilities: exploratory testing, customer testing, planned testing manually. It maintains an extensive browser, which offers testing exploration along with stakeholders' feedback storage. The essential techniques like testing exploration and manuals are required for the product development. They are the reason for testing automation. Name the web application which can be deployed with Azure. ASP.NET, PHP, WCF. Explain the containers and Azure DevOps supports which containers. Containers offer a simple software code approach which associates the dependencies, package, and the configuration in a solitary project. We may increase the reply through the beginning, by which various containers run on identical mechan and share with other containers also. Containers used for the quick and well-founded deployment. Azure DevOps gave support for ASP.NET, Docker, and the containers. Explain about Net. It is nothing but the rendering of our cloud network that isolates our launched cloud instances from our remaining resources. What is Azure DevOps and why do you use it? Azure DevOps is a suite of development tools, services, and features offered by Microsoft for collaborative software development. It helps to plan, develop, test, and deliver software more efficiently. Azure DevOps helps teams to track work items, manage code, automate builds and deployment, and track bugs and issues. How does Azure DevOps help in agile development? Azure DevOps provides an end-to-end solution for agile software development that includes tools for backlog management, Kanban boards, sprint planning, and continuous delivery. It supports agile methodologies such as Scrum and Kanban, which enables teams to iterate quickly and deliver value to customers continuously. What are the different services offered by Azure DevOps? Azure DevOps provides a set of services that help teams to manage the entire software development life cycle. Some of the services offered by Azure DevOps are: Azure Boards provides work tracking and backlog management features. Azure Repos provides version control for code. Azure Artifacts provides package management for applications. Azure Test Plans provides testing and quality assurance tools. Azure Pipelines provides continuous integration and delivery services. Can you explain the process of continuous integration and delivery in Azure DevOps? Continuous integration and delivery, C/CD, is the practice of automatically building, testing, and deploying code changes to production. In Azure DevOps, a developer can set up a C/CD pipeline that integrates with their source code repository and automatically builds, tests, and deploys code changes to various environments. How do you manage code versioning in Azure DevOps? Azure DevOps provides version control for code through Azure Repos. It supports Git and Team Foundation Version Control, TFVC, for version control. Developers can use Azure Repos to track changes to code, revert to previous versions, and collaborate with other developers. How does Azure DevOps handle security and permission management? Azure DevOps provides role-based access control, RBAC, to manage security and permissions in an organization. RBAC enables organizations to control access to resources and operations based on the roles of users within the organization. Azure DevOps also integrates with Azure Active Directory for authentication and authorization. Can you explain the work item tracking system in Azure DevOps? The work item tracking system in Azure DevOps provides a centralized place for teams to track work items, such as bugs, tasks, and user stories. Teams can use Azure Boards to create and manage backlogs, track progress, and collaborate with other team members. The work item tracking system integrates with other Azure DevOps services, such as Azure Repos and Azure Pipelines, to provide end-to-end traceability for work items. An example of an Azure pipeline could be a C/CD pipeline for deploying a .NET Web application to Azure App Service. The pipeline would have the following steps. Code is pushed to a GitHub repository. A trigger is set in the Azure DevOps project to start the pipeline whenever code is pushed to the repository. The pipeline retrieves the source code from GitHub and builds the .NET application using a build agent. The pipeline runs unit tests on the built application. If the tests pass, the pipeline deploys the application to an Azure App Service. The pipeline can be configured to run performance tests on the deployed application. If the performance tests pass, the pipeline marks the deployment as successful and the updated application is now live. This is just one example, but pipelines can be customized for a wide range of scenarios such as containerizing applications, deploying to multiple environments, etc. Azure Pipeline YAML file for deploying a .NET Web application to Azure App Service. The pipeline uses a Windows virtual machine as the build agent and sets the solution, build platform, and build configuration as variables. The pipeline then performs the following steps: installs the NuGet tool, restores NuGet packages for the solution, builds the .NET application using VS Build, runs tests on the application using VS Test, deploys the application to Azure App Service using Azure RM Web App Deployment. What are artifacts? Azure DevOps. Azure Artifacts allows developers to start sharing and consume packages from various feeds and public registries. Azure Artifacts is an extension that makes it simple to discover, install, and publish NuGet, NPM, and Maven packages in Azure DevOps. It's completely embedded with other hubs like Build, allowing package management to become a smooth part of your existing workflows. How to create a variable group in Azure DevOps. We can create variable groups by navigating to pipeline > library > variable group > save as techgeek next _VG. What is Azure Repos in Azure DevOps? Azure Repos is a set of version control tools for managing your code. Version control is provided by Azure Repos in two types: Git distributed version control, Team Foundation version control, TFVC, centralized version control. Thanks for watching and please subscribe my channel.